Talking intro, talking intro. Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I have a Dell Inspiron 15. This will apply to the 5000 series models. I'm going to take you on a teardown or disassembly tour, show you how to get inside, and many of the various components you can access and upgrade once you're in. So first thing, power down your computer through the start menu, make sure it's off and unplugged from your charger. We're then going to flip your computer over to access your bottom case screws. Now you have a total of 11 screws on top that you need to take out. The top 3 screws that are shown by the green arrows, those screws won't actually come out of the bottom case. They stay in. You can unscrew them. They just stay inside the case. The red arrow screws will come out of the case. After you take out all of those screws, remember to take out your CD drive here. You can put a pry tool through here. Be very careful not to go too hard, because if you yank that to the left too hard, sometimes you can break it. But if you go slow, you will be able to slide that out. And then there are 2 more screws shown by the blue arrows underneath that CD drive when you take it out. After taking all those screws out, you'll take a small flat pry tool and you'll go across the seam of the bottom case and pry it apart from your palm rest. Now be very careful over here, because once you remove that CD drive, the piece of plastic that's left screwed down to the computer is very, very thin, and those are easily broken. As you're going around, it's generally best to start in one of the back corners. If you get stuck in one direction, leave it. Go to the other side and continue in the other direction. Don't put your pry tool too far in. You could damage some internal components. Just keep it on the edge. Go nice and slow and careful but firm, and you'll be able to get that bottom case off. Once you do, this is what you're looking at for the inside of your computer. Now, the computer that I used in this demonstration of the 5000 series was a 5575 model. So your 5000 series may not look exactly like this. So all of the components and things that I'll go over are to the 5575 model. If you need help with your specific model, leave me a comment and let me know. Now, as a general computer repair side note, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging anything in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like help with any tools or supplies for your project, as well as any replacement or upgrade parts for the Dell Inspiron 5575, there will be a link above, also below in the description, and that will be a list of all the tools and supplies I use for this computer, as well as those replacement and upgrade parts for this specific model. Now, before touching anything in a computer, it's always wise to remove or at least unplug your battery. Computers are safest to work on when as little power as possible is running through them. This is a 42 watt hour, 11.4 volt battery. If you're looking for help finding a replacement, the part number is WDX0R. I will have all that information below in the description. But again, I will have a replacement battery in that link I told you about with all of the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. It's held in by 4 screws and it plugs into the motherboard right here. Now, as goes for any cables or wires in a computer, try to avoid pulling on the actual wire if at all possible. Try just to manipulate the plug. Sometimes you can damage the wires if you handle them too aggressively, and sometimes if you pull too hard, they can come right out of their plug. So with this white plug, you can get your fingernails or a pry tool on either side of that and wiggle it out of that port. I guess the last thing to mention about this kind of an operation, if you are here because your computer is not turning on, it could be your battery. You may need to replace it, but keep in mind that a laptop should typically still turn on and work even with a bad battery as long as your charger is plugged in. So if your computer is not turning on, there may be another reason than just a bad battery. If you want help troubleshooting your problem, I will have a video link above. Also below in the description, it'll be the full troubleshooting process I use in my shop to troubleshoot why a laptop's not turning on and how to fix it. This computer has 2 RAM ports right here near the right of my screen. You'll see these 2 green RAM sticks in them back to back. Most of you stock will have 2 4 gigabyte sticks that come with the computer. This computer takes PC4 2400T RAM and the maximum capacity is 32 gigabytes. I will have that information below in the description if you need it to find your own replacement, but I will also include some replacement and upgrades below in that link that I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts. I will include a single 4 gigabyte stick in case one of these sticks goes bad and you're looking to just replace it as cheap as possible. I will also include a 16 gigabyte kit, which would be a moderate upgrade. It'll be 2 sticks of 8 gigabyte RAM. That should give you some more performance. But I will also include a 32 gigabyte kit, which will max out your RAM. It'll be 2 sticks of 16 gigabytes. The way to operate RAM, there's a spring-loaded metal arm on the top and the bottom of the RAM stick. The way to get the RAM out is you will gently pry those apart away from the RAM stick. The RAM stick will then release. Oftentimes it'll even pop up a little bit, and then you can slide it to the right out of this port and to the left out of that port. The way to get the RAM back in, if you notice on your RAM, there's a long section here that plugs in and a short section here. So you can't put the RAM in backwards or upside down. It can only go in the right way. Once you get it in there, make sure it's nice and flush. Make sure this gold section is nice and even all the way down. And then press in the center here, press down, and these arms will latch onto it and hold it in place. And I guess last thing to mention about this RAM upgrade, if you are trying to upgrade your RAM for more speed, more performance, another thing you may want to do is upgrade your storage. This is your hard drive right here. Most of you will have a hard drive stock. This is a 2.5 inch SATA hard drive, and you can get them in a variety of storage sizes. And I believe this computer maxes out at 1 terabyte size for that. So below in the description in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer, I will have a 500 gigabyte 2.5 inch SATA drive that fits into this port, and I will also include a 1 terabyte hard drive down there as well. In addition to the 2.5 inch SATA hard drives in this space, you can also upgrade this to a 2.5 SATA solid state drive. So I will have a couple of those options as well. I will have a 480 gigabyte solid state drive for here, as well as a 1 terabyte solid state drive for this 2.5 inch SATA spot. The way to access this storage device, this 2.5 inch SATA drive, there's 2 screws here on the right, 2 screws here on the left. Now, once you do that, you're going to lift up from the left a little bit, and then you're going to carefully unplug the hard drive from this connector cable right here. This is your SATA interface, this black plastic connector. So right here where the blue arrow is pointing, that's the seam. So you're going to carefully separate the hard drive from this port by pulling the hard drive to the left and holding that in place. And I'm making a big deal out of that because this is only connected down here with a ribbon cable. So if you just pull on this, you'll pull it right out, you could damage it. So you're going to try to hold this in place, that SATA connector, as much as possible and wiggle this hard drive out towards the left. The second storage space you have is over here on the right side of my screen. This is an M.2 port, PCIe NVMe solid state drive. The long 2280s can fit in here. And this also maxes out at a terabyte, I believe. So below in the description in that link with all the upgrade and replacement parts, I will have a 256 gigabyte solid state drive, a 500 gigabyte solid state drive, and a 1 terabyte option for this port. One thing that people do a lot when they have 2 different storage spaces in a computer, because solid state drives are typically more expensive than the hard drives, what they'll do is they'll put a small solid state drive in so they can save money. Instead of getting a large solid state drive, they'll get a smaller one. They'll put their operating system on that, Windows 10, Windows 11, whatever you're using. And that way the operating system is really fast, and they'll use the larger hard drive, maybe a terabyte hard drive, for that long-term storage, the pictures, the files, the movies, things like that, because you don't need that running as fast. So that's kind of a nice way to manage your storage while not spending a whole lot of money, but getting a lot out of it. The third and final storage space you have isn't really a storage space. Some of you may know this. This CD drive here, they have adapters where you can adapt this to put in another hard drive. I'm not going to go into that as much. I'll have those components in the list below with all the replacement and upgrade parts. I'll have those in that list. But because this computer already can have a terabyte solid state drive here and a terabyte hard drive or solid state drive here, I'm just not going to go into this that much. It's kind of needless for this kind of computer. And I guess the final things to mention about this kind of an operation, if you are installing a new drive into your computer, you most likely will need to install an operating system onto it afterwards. I will have two links below in the description. One will show you how to install Windows 10, one will show you how to install Windows 11. And finally, if you are replacing a drive because it went bad, if there's data on that drive you want to recover, be aware that data recovery for bad hard drives is possible. I will have more information on that below in the description as well. Your CMOS battery is right here near the left of my screen. It sits in a port. To get it out, you would push down on the CMOS battery. There's springs down here. You'd push down into those springs, and then it will release from the top, and you can get it up. Be very careful with that port. It is breakable, and if you do damage it, you won't be able to secure that in there again, and the motherboard needs that to operate. If you would like a replacement option for that, I will have it below in the description in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. If you're here to simply reset BIOS, you would just take that out, leave it out for maybe 15-20 seconds, and that should be sufficient to reset your BIOS system settings. Now keep in mind, in most cases, that will only reset your BIOS system settings and not your BIOS password. For more BIOS password reset information, check out below in the description in the FAQs. And I guess the last thing that I can mention about this kind of an operation, this BIOS resetting procedure is a common troubleshooting step if your computer's not turning on. If you would like the full troubleshooting video and how to find out why your laptop's not turning on and how to fix it, I will have the link below in the description, also up top, and that will be the full troubleshooting video on how to fix that issue. Your speakers are down on the bottom near the corners. You have this U-shaped black speaker here near the right of my screen, and this long speaker here near the left of my screen. Now this speaker does not plug into the motherboard itself. It runs by these wires down under the battery. It's threaded through these pins, connects to this speaker over here, and this speaker plugs into the motherboard right there. Now when you're unplugging these speakers, be very careful. These wires are very fragile and they can pull out of that plug very easily if you pull them too hard. So use your fingernails or a pry tool or a small pair of pliers to get that plug out of that port. The speakers themselves are not screwed down to the motherboard. They're just held on by these rubber washers, so you can wiggle those right off to get them off. I will have a pair of speakers below in the description in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this computer. They can be hard to find, so if they're not there, if they're unavailable when you look, leave me a message and I'll try to find some ones that are available. Last thing to mention about this kind of repair, if you are having sound quality issues in your computer, if the sound is not consistent across different platforms, it could be a speaker issue, but more than likely it's a system or a driver issue. I will have a video link below in the description. Also up top, it'll show you how to make sure all your system drivers are updated so you can rule that out before trying an invasive speaker replacement like this. Your Wi-Fi card is right up here near the top right of my screen, right above your two RAM sticks. It's held down by a single screw here, and then you have your two antenna wire, the black and the white wire that come off it. Those antenna wire, those are just snaps, so they just pull directly up and off of the Wi-Fi card. However, to get them back down, they do need to be at a perfect 90-degree angle to snap back onto the card. And you are strong enough to damage them if they're not at the right angle and you try to force it. So just be patient, go slow. It can be a pain if you're not used to it, but just get it at the right angle and you will be able to snap those back on. This Dell part number for that Wi-Fi card is 0N2VFR. It's a wireless AC 1360 card. I will have all the Wi-Fi specs below in the description if you're looking for your own replacement, but I will have a Wi-Fi card replacement option below in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. And I guess the last thing I can mention about this type of operation, if you're having trouble accessing your Wi-Fi options, if you cannot seem to get your Wi-Fi on or find any networks, it may be a bad card, but most likely it's a system or a driver issue. I would rule that out first before trying to replace your Wi-Fi card. I will have a video link above, also below in the description. It'll be a troubleshoot video to show you how to fix that situation if you cannot access your Wi-Fi options. Your fan is right here. And the heatsink comes between this vent over the CPU right there. The fan has 3 screws and it plugs into the motherboard right here. Now that fan wire is very fragile. It can very easily pull out of the plug if you pull it too hard. So definitely just use your fingernails or a pry tool or a pair of pliers to get that plug out of the motherboard port right there. After you take that fan up, you can clean it out, replace it, whatever you're here to do. If you do want to take up your heat sink, you're looking at these 4 screws over the CPU. Now, just as a word of caution with messing with your heatsink, if you take that up for any reason and you separate that thermal paste, you expose it to air, you do need to then reapply it. Once thermal paste has been exposed to air, it does need to be reapplied because it's not going to do its job as well. Below in the description, in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer, I will have a replacement fan, a replacement heatsink, and I will have a couple different choices of thermal paste. Keep in mind that not all thermal pastes are created equal. The cheaper ones will kind of do a good job. The more expensive ones usually will do a better job. So just keep that in mind when selecting your thermal paste. If you would like help reapplying your thermal paste, I will have a video link above, also below in the description. It'll be a tutorial showing you how to fix an overheating laptop. One of the things it'll show you is how to clean off all the old thermal paste. You don't want to put new paste on top of old paste. And it will also show you how to reapply the correct amount of thermal paste. If you put too much thermal paste down, you could end up locking heat in rather than facilitating its transport out. And then obviously, if you put too little thermal paste, then you're not getting heat out, you're not getting good coverage. So that video will be below in the description if you want it. Another component here, this is your power jack, your power in right there. The wire plugs into the motherboard right here. In order to get access to this, you do need to unscrew this hinge assembly there because it's underneath it. It kind of holds it down. Also, be careful for these these ribbon cable clip connectors or these cord clip connectors. You'll see them over here. You'll see them over here. Those are very fragile. They're very easily broken. And if you break them, you may not be able to find a replacement. So just be very careful with those. You have a couple different kinds. You have ones here where you put your fingernail on either side of those grips and slide them, and then you can take your ribbon cable out. Or you have some here where the clip opens like a book cover. You take a small, very, very flat pry tool, you slide it under the clip from this direction, gently, carefully pop it up, and the hinges are on the back like a book cover, so it'll open that way. And again, very fragile, very easy to break. Do not break them. But that is the end of this video, how to get inside your Inspiron 15 5575 and access a majority of your components. Thanks again so much for watching. Please remember to like and share if this helped you out, if you think it can help someone else out. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoy DIY computer content like this, or if you just want to keep me on hand to answer any of your future computer questions. I do try to answer all questions throughout my channel at least a couple times a day. Also, feel free to check out the related links section below in the description. From time to time, I do try to add things in there that I think will help you with your general computer life, make it more productive, more enjoyable. So thanks again for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.